Today, we're talking all about the different camps of AI. We're talking about artisanal craft versus the AI engineered ad production approach. So for some of you who may not know me, my name is Savannah Sanchez. My business is The Social Savannah. I have worked with hundreds of brands since 2020, creating their Meta and TikTok ad creatives. I have an internal team of 40 creators and 10 editors, and we produce hundreds of ads per week, all for less than $320 per ad, including influencer whitelisting access. And at the bottom, I have some of my most notable clients that I've worked with. And I do want to throw out there, I will be sending out this deck to all of my email subscribers. So please make sure to go to my website and sign up for my newsletter so that you can get the deck with all of the videos afterward. A bit about how my company works. Every Monday, I shoot with my team of creators and actors, brand new content every week. And then I personally collaborate with my editors to brief them on how I want them to edit it and the final output. And then with every ad we make, we also include partnership access for creator whitelisting, because that's been a huge performance driver for brands. And then last but not least, I also create custom dashboards on motion for all my clients, because as you know, analyzing the data in motion is most arguably one of the most important parts of the process. So let's dive right into the subject matter. And I'm just going to start out by saying I don't use AI in my ad creative production process. And this is for a number of reasons. Number one, my clients are specifically asking me not to use AI. I feel like 2024 was the year of how can we use AI, and 2025 is now how do we not sound like AI or look like AI. So that's been a big reason why I don't use AI. I think some of the reasons why brands are shying away from AI is because it looks and sounds a bit fake, disingenuous. The brand safety concerns in regards to having a fake person give a testimonial. I think that there's going to be plenty of legal battles around copyright and use of image coming on the forefront in the next few years with all of the use of AI avatars. On the right side, I wanted to show an example of what an AI person looks like in an ad versus a real person, which is the one on the right, which was an ad we produced. As you can see, the AI avatars, they're looking more and more realistic every day. And I think that it's only going to get better. But in my personal opinion, I just find it much easier to work with real humans, to give them directions on how to film the ad, work with my team of editors. I find that easier than trying to direct a prompt and trying to make edits. I think that's one of the hardest things when working with AI softwares is being able to edit the final outcome and make tweaks. I just think it's not there yet. So AI to me, it's interesting, but to me, it's just not practical yet. So I just try to focus every week on how can I make the most out of the box, interesting ads for my clients. I try not to get distracted with all of this AI stuff. I really just stay zeroed in on how can I make the best ads with my team of creators and my team of editors. I have a quote here: one good ad is worth 1,000 bad AI ads, which I think is so true. And that real human testimonials and out of the box creativity just continue to be the top performing ads in ad accounts as seen from the motion data. So if the motion data showed me that AI content worked better, I would be doing the AI content, but it's just not the case. What's getting the most scale and the most performance by far is your typical UGC ads using real people. I did want to show a good use case for AI, and it was actually mentioned in the first session that one really nice use case for it is dubbing the language for different countries. So I wanted to show you an example. Here was wardrobe basics every guy needs in their closets, and of course, this is an ad we made for Built using English, our English speaking actor, but they want to expand to the Spanish speaking market. So we used a AI software called 11 Labs to essentially type out the script in Spanish and come up with a Spanish voiceover. So I will share with you what that sounds like. I don't speak Spanish, even though my last name is Sanchez. So maybe someone in the chat who speaks Spanish can let me know how well the AI did for this AI voiceover.
Estos son algunos básicos de vestuario que todo hombre necesita en su armario. Supuesto, todos estos son de Build Basics. Son mi opción para conseguir prendas básicas de guardarropa asequibles y de alta calidad. Puedes comprar estos y más en buildbasics.com.
I think pretty good based on my remedial Spanish skills, but I think it is useful for sure for brands that want to expand to different countries, but don't want to hire actors in multiple languages, we could just take a best performing ad in English and generate a Spanish voiceover. So this has been a really cool use case that I've been using AI for. Like I mentioned, the software I use is 11 Labs for this. You can also do text to speech, like 3 reasons why I love loop earplugs, one of my clients, versus the hook. I can't live without my loop earplugs, and it can just generate the speech for you. So I think hook testing for text to speech is really useful. I would say one thing I don't like about 11 Labs is I can still kind of tell that it's an AI voice. And maybe that's just because I have a very discerning ear and I don't like that. So I try to avoid AI voices and just use real humans. But I can see how it is practical. If you want to test different hooks, having it being able to generate different voiceovers, I think is a very practical use case for AI right now. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk about my organic approach rooted in storytelling and craft for creating ads. I want to share with you some of the top ad examples that I've been working on to hopefully inspire your campaigns. So this one we shot for Dooney and Burke and just using cool editing features like having her swoop in and then just beautiful lighting. That's something that I focus a lot on with my creator team is just shooting in great lighting, getting great footage. It's just something that I don't think AI is capable of yet, just getting people in different scenes. So that's really what I focus on. It's like, how can we make the coolest edit possible? And how can we get the best footage possible to get the message across? This was another cool edit we did recently where we're showing the product scroll across the top and then she's grabbing the product and then we go into our typical UGC ad thereafter. So I always try to think what's something cool we can do with editing in the first 3 seconds to capture attention. And that's really where I'm focusing all of my creative energy on is how can we make the coolest hook possible? And as you can see, just using real humans, you get real reactions, better footage, better clips, something that AI just, I don't think is the greatest at yet. These are just easy to produce. You can film this all in a day and create a really simple but effective ad this way. Next, I wanted to showcase an ad we did for Seatopia. And I just wanted to highlight just the beauty of the dishes that we made. So being able to show something just like really aesthetic, like a nicely plated dish, showing the text overlays of the main value props and really just convey an elevated look. I think that's something that when brands approach me, they really want to see like, how can we elevate our ad creatives, like in an artistic sense, make it more interesting, make it more beautiful, do something more out of the box. And so that's what I always strive for. It's just something that's beautiful and effective. Next, we have a really fun one. It's when the dog splashes water onto the phone and then accidentally orders from the water splashes things from the Chewy website. So just little things like this, just things that are out of the box to capture attention. People aren't expecting this. So I always try to think, how can we do something that's a bit different than like typical UGC, something that's not done before, or it's just going to stop people from scrolling. Another great example is one where we're saying, oh, like we think the brand messed up. They offered me way too much for my car. And then we're showing her, no, it's actually just a really great deal. And then showing the green screen of the person over the website. Green screen format ads really do perform well. And this type of format is something that continues to dominate in ad accounts. This was another fun one we've been testing. It's saying, when my husband gets my package sent to him, so he reviews it for me. So the premise is that the wife wasn't there to do a review, so the husband's going to fumble through and do the product review. This one was a really out of the box. The client asked me to try something just very different than what they had in the ad account. And I was really surprised by how well this one has been doing. So we're doing some more husband reviews now. I think people just like the comedy aspect of the husband kind of like fumbling through the purse and trying to give his review in a way that's really relatable. This is a Black Friday specific ad. So showing the product on the phone and then magic through editing, showing what it looks like in real life. In ads, I always like to feature multiple creators when possible so that people can relate to different people, see it in different settings, especially for a product like this. We want to show the different colors, the different features. So just getting as much raw content as possible in our shoots is always a priority. Next, we have a simple testimonial ad. This one's for a SIM card, so it's not going to be the most exciting, but I did want to show some examples of ads you can do when you don't have a physical product. Now, someone can say, you can make a person with AI, an AI avatar, but I wanted to show this real person in this ad we made, just so you can see like the subtle facial expressions, the way she's holding things. I just don't think AI is that advanced yet to make something as natural and real as the real thing. So I always think, why not use the real thing? Why use a fake person when someone may be able to tell it's a fake person? And I think that damages the brand, because the brand is going to be like, well, why can't we just get a real person to share why they love it so much? Why do we have to get a fake person to make up something? So that's my personal stance on using real people and testimonials versus AI personas. Another fun concept is showing the creator in multiple settings. So we're showing her on our laptop versus on the computer. So always trying to think of how can we film it in an interesting way that's different than the rest. And so having her do a conversation with herself through the different screens of the computer is another great example if you don't have a physical product and you're doing B2B style ads. Another thing I always try to do in my ads is incorporate food. That's just a common thing in hooks that perform well. So I think our potato hook was showing that it conceals under eye circles is really creative and something that we saw in motion perform with the hook rate and the hold rate. So I'll go back to it so you can see we're applying the concealer onto the potato. So I would say just spend time thinking about what are things you can do that are outside the box. And this is where ChatGPT probably can't help you. I think ChatGPT is a little bit generic when it comes to scripts and not going to come out with out of the box things like putting concealer on a potato. So that's where it helps to have just creative groups and a creative community to network with and to talk with on ideas, whether it's your own team or people externally that you can just throw random ideas out, like using potatoes. Another cool thing that you can do in editing is showing the same person doing a skit with themselves. I call this format the self skit, and it's one that I've tested pretty much across the board for all my clients that I've seen great performance with. So just editing it together so that they're talking to themselves in the intro is a huge hit. Another cool thing you can do with edits is doing multiple TikTok comment overlays. We were saying like, oh, you should try a loop, you should try a loop. And then the glass breaks and it's like, fine, I'll try it. I'll go back to the hook so you can see. So just trying to figure out what are some cool things we can do in post-production to make the edit cooler. Always trying to think of ways to be more out of the box with the edits. Another thing you can do in your hook is use paper, cut it up, and then piece it all together to share your message before going through your typical UGC ad. Another thing that's been really popular this year and that I've seen perform well is instead of doing a typical UGC ad with someone talking to the camera, we did cutouts to tell the story about how loop earplugs helped her with productivity at concerts. And it's just different. Like that's all I was trying to think about. How can we be different? How can we stop the scroll? How can we be out of the box? That's really where I'm just putting all my brain power to. So don't export your brain to ChatGPT. Use your creativity. That's where people really need a strong creative strategist to think of ideas like this that are unproven but have potential and will stand out from the rest. Next, we have the balloon pop. So in the hook, as you can see, not to burst your bubble, and then the balloon pops, which is a really cool effect. So just little things like that to elevate your hooks. Another example I wanted to share is more of like a personal storytelling vibe where we use real footage of the creator with her family and her kids. And I wanted to include this specific example too, because I think when it comes to AI and ad creatives, I do think there's just a moral dilemma there about like, should we have real people saying that they're using the product, or should we have an AI avatar saying they're using the product? I do think, especially when it comes to showing kids and families, there's just something that doesn't sit right with me about showing an AI family and having them talk about how they love it. I think that's why it's great to use real creators who are using your product, who can provide a genuine testimonial versus generating this type of stuff through AI. Another one that's pretty cool that we've done is like throwing money in the trash and then tossing the clothes to the person on screen to show them trying on the outfits. So I always try to think, how can we put different animations, different transitions to elevate the ad? I just don't think the AI can quite understand what these transitions would mean if you were to prompt them like, oh, throw a shirt to a guy and have it change so that he's wearing it. I can just imagine that it would struggle with something like this right now. Another cool one I wanted to show you is using the split screen edit to show the creator sipping the protein shake from herself and then going into the UGC ad. I've seen that the split screen effect has worked incredibly well as of late, and one that I'm going to continue to test. It's just very scroll stopping in the feed. And then you go into your regular UGC ad as per usual. So I hope you enjoyed some of those examples to kind of highlight the more artistic approach, the more organic approach. I'm excited to welcome Jacob Russo to the stage, as he's done tons of testing with AI to see how we can use it in ad creative. So we're going to bring him on stage to get a different perspective.
Yes, thank you so much, Savannah. Great presentation. Here, let me share the presentation in 1 second. Hey, Motion team, it's not letting me screen share right now. Oh, it might be, yep, now it is. Awesome. Awesome. So quick overview of me. I started out in the entertainment industry, originally working on Marvel films when I was 15, worked in the creative development side, story development side of the entertainment industry for several years before going into marketing, primarily UGC content, much like what Savannah was recently showing. Then late last year, I started to get into AI and started to produce like hybrid content as well as fully AI content pretty much since December of last year. And I am technically a full-time AI artist and producer now, working on projects at companies such as, you may have heard of Secret Level. They did the Coca-Cola ad last year that got some backlash, as well as Native Foreign. They have an upcoming film that people have heard of that they're partnered with OpenAI for. So I do want to preface this by saying that I am no AI maximalist. I definitely think that balance is key, and that I agree with Savannah that people do want authenticity, but that doesn't mean that you have to fully avoid AI. So as far as the difference that AI makes is, it's no longer your skills technically, like what you envision you can accomplish in some way using AI. So that ends up being that taste and curation is often the difference maker in production. So being able to tell when something does look AI, being able to tell when something might perform better if it was AI compared to really a real production. So in my opinion, every brand is going to have different levels of AI depending on what they're selling. So for instance, if you're selling a product that has to do a lot with nature and something very homey, you probably don't want to use AI as much as someone that's a gambling app and doesn't really care about using AI and just going crazy with their AI stuff because their audience doesn't care about using AI as much, at least. So you'll see it definitely varying depending on what the brand is. But I do think that it's always important to know what's possible with AI, research what is out there and know what's possible, know what your competitors are doing, understand what their advantages are and how you can potentially integrate AI in little ways, even if it is just changing the background of an image. And it all comes down to storytelling. That's the number one thing. I saw a quote recently that I really resonated with, where it was like it was that slop has always been around. It's just gotten easier to create it. And same with great content. Great content has always been around. It's also become easier to create that. So storytelling is always first. And I believe that hybrid is the future, even though there will be some brands that fully automate things with AI, which I will show in my demo soon. So why I use AI in ads, we all know that it can be used to storyboard things, brainstorm. Let's say you're about to do a photo shoot for your brand. You can, rather than scroll through Pinterest for hours on end, you can type into AI what your vision is and slowly iterate upon that in order to get your vision. That goes with testing before a real production. So let's say you wanted to put $100,000 into your rebrand potentially, but you want to test out what works first for your brand. So you could potentially use AI, test it with a real audience, and see what the tests say in order to know where to actually put your money with the real production. Cost efficiency, this would be taking your existing content and improving upon it in some way. So for example, let's say you wanted to change the background of an image to be a holiday image for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. You could definitely do that with AI. And same with VFX. So VFX, for instance, you could take one of the UGC videos that Savannah makes, and let's say her hook is, let's address the elephant in the room. With AI, you can actually add an elephant behind you and that be the visual hook while still keeping the UGC character 100% real, but add an AI elephant into the room. And then adding on to what Savannah said about AI voices, you can also now do actual AI lip syncing too, that could potentially, let's say that I'm recording this, I could change this into a different language and it will adapt the lip sync as well. So it's not just a voiceover. And then automations as well, which I will get into more in a minute. Sorry, I'm trying to rush through this to get you guys the demo that is more interactive. So some AI examples. Here's the Coca-Cola ad from last year. I'm going to play a little bit of it. Oh. Holidays are coming, holidays are coming, holidays are coming, holidays are coming. 'Tis the season, it's always Coca-Cola. So that feels very outdated looking at the technology now, but it is interesting to see how the technology has evolved in the past 8-9 months since this originally came out. I wanted to say, as far as AI ads go and commercials, since they started, I guess, last December, this entire year has followed waves of different AI content trends, I guess. And part of that has to do with what the tools are coming out at the time. So for example, after VO3 came out, that allowed people to add voices to characters and scenes. So for example, this is an ad that showed during the NBA Finals and was from Kelshi, who fully embraced, if you don't know, Kelshi is not a gambling app, but like a prediction market app. And here is a part of their ad that they used AI for, which was specifically because VO3 recently came out.
Indiana gonna win, baby!
We're in Florida asking people what they put their money on! I'm all in on OKC!
Indiana got that dog in them!
Will egg prices go?
So that is their sample of using VO3 because it had recently come out. Also, now there is Sora that just came out last week, which is absurd and crazy how realistic it can get. So I wanted to show you this sample. This obviously has copyright issues because it has Michael Jackson in it, but I wanted to show you how realistic it's starting to get. And within 6 months, it'll be eerily realistic. Oh. Did not work.
Your chicken's looking nice, pal.
Hey. Woo! Yo, he stole my chicken!
Got a crispy treasure, can't slow me down. Hot and golden, I'm out of this town. Move, move, Friday victory.
Well, get back here.
Run, spin, slide, I'm gliding out the door. Fried love in my arms, can't give it up no more. Hey.
So, as you can imagine, in 6 months, or even now, these videos are becoming realistic, and the only thing that's separating it is this Sora watermark that you may see on videos, but even that can be replaced with AI now. So definitely keep an eye out for potentially AI videos that are ads that look very UGC-like. Other AI ad examples for static ads, at least, is, for instance, H&M. They paid a model essentially to AI clone them and regenerate them in any scene wearing any clothing. And that's another interesting sample for static ads. So I am going to get into the demo as soon as possible. So we have about 10 minutes. And I'm going to be walking through a workflow in Weavy. I'm going to stop sharing in a second. But it's a Weavy workflow that has ChatGPT, an image model called Seedream, upscaling that image with Magnific, reframing it, video generation. Sounds like a lot right now. I'm just going to show you in order to get the point across. So let's do this little exercise and pretend that I am a drop shipper who is an AI maximalist, and I have a budget for running some test ads to see what the click-through rate might be for a specific product. And I just want to test it and see what my landing page gets for clicks. So I'm going to automate this entire process. I'm going to have it automate what product we're creating, automate the brand, automate the logo, automate every aspect. So we're just going to start at the beginning, and if time permits, I'll go through every step, but otherwise I will just show you what I have existing already. So this first node lets it know, hey, we're a professional drop shipper. We want to identify one current trending item that has strong sales potential. So run it through AI, and it will determine. It picked tech fabric cargo parachute pants. Sure, we'll go with that. Then this section down here that I created automates the brand and then automates the logo for that brand. So it's running the automation right now. So I'm going to go node by node for this and wait. But theoretically, you could run this entire thing at once and wait probably like 5 minutes, but we're going to go section by section. So we automated the brand. Now automating the logo. So while that generates, we can see down here. So the brand analysis is sorry, 1 second. So it created the brand Arrow Grid for this parachute pants. And now we are going to create the logo for our brand called Arrow Grid. Now, in the meantime, while that generates for our brand, we're going to automate the actual visual of whatever this product is that it created, this tech fabric cargo parachute pants. I don't even know what that means, but we will figure out once this image generator creates it. So here is Arrow Grid. I'm going to run this again just so it's a fully white background. But in the meantime, here is our cargo pants. It generated 3, so I'm going to edit this prompt real quick to make sure it's only 1. So here's our new logo. We're going to go with that. And we're going to rerun this image generator. So I'm guessing we probably won't have time to run through the entire thing, but you can get the idea. So let's say this image here, we'll just go with this because generating is taking a bit long. So we can take this product image and adapt it onto a model. So for instance, it generated this model fully based on what these clothes were and upscaled it. So upscaling, if you aren't aware, AI images right now sort of are low quality at the first generation. And then you have to use AI in order to upscale it to look a bit more high definition, as you can see here. So then we can take that model wearing our product, which before when I first ran this test was these pants that have a phone pocket. Then it goes through this entire automation that generates a photo shoot. So here's a photo shoot of our model in different locations. You can regenerate them as many times as you want. You can tweak the prompts as necessary. As you can see, there's some times where it won't look exactly like the product. Like this one has this weird stitching on it. So you might have to regenerate a few times. AI is definitely a reiterating process over and over until you get what you want. So I decided that this was the closest image to what product I want to make. And I took it over here in order to start creating ads. So I have this 9x16 vertical ad. I can then use AI to create a square ad for it, and then I can use AI to composite. You could do this manually, or you can set up a few nodes to do it automatically. So this was our ad. We have, the old brand was called Lumora and was for this product. So now we have this cool ad. I can run this ad, but I realize that the holidays are coming up. So I actually want to redo this for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's what I put in here. So fall and Thanksgiving and Christmas. Then I have an automation set up to change the backgrounds. So now we have her in other settings. That one's for fall. And then we have our winter ones down here. And as you can imagine, you can customize any aspect of it. Let's say we wanted this photo shoot to be very specific to a mood board that our creative strategist designed. We can definitely add a node over here and add an image model, an image file, upload your mood board and drag it to a specific node in order to influence how these images end up looking. Then if we really wanted to, we could also turn this photo shoot into a video shoot and animate every video as well. Hand these files off to our video editor in order to edit a commercial or ad. So I think I've gotten it done in time to show you this section. That was a lot. I know that I ran through it fast, but hopefully you guys can understand what the power of AI is. And this is the AI maximalist view. You can take your existing ads and change the background of them. You can add things into scenes that weren't there before. Let's say you really love a shot, but there was something in the background. You can use AI to change the background to whatever you want. You can also, let's say, for example, scroll through Motion and find a competitor's ad that you really like. You can download it and upload it to something called the video describer that analyzes the video visually and audio wise, and essentially create your own workflow where it could influence. Let's say we wanted to automate a cloning ad from a Motion ad that you see. And you can clone the ad specifically to your brand with your product, whatever it might be. So that is the overview of Weavy. Now that might have been pretty complicated. So I did want to go over one more tool that may be a bit simpler, called Freepik. So if you are interested in getting started with AI, I would definitely consider getting Freepik for the $40 per month subscription. You get unlimited unlimited images with that. And part of that is also being able to switch through all of the top image models. So I can use Nano Banana in here and add, let's say I added images of me when I was doing this, and I could just do like this character doing whatever, and Nano Banana will generate an image for that. So you can definitely play around. I would suggest using Nano Banana and Seedream 4. Those are the best, I guess, like easy to use models for now. Might not be the best quality always. And then with that $40 per month subscription, you can also test out AI videos. You're sort of limited on how many videos you can generate, but for $40 a month, it's definitely worth to at least get your feet wet and start getting interested in AI, see what it can do for your brand, and start testing things. All right, I know that was a lot of dumping knowledge, but that wraps up my section, and I believe that we can have Savannah rejoin me on stage.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
Hello, hello. All right, now I think we're doing some Q&A potentially.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, honestly, both of you shared so much sauce in there. So there's so many learnings that people can walk away with, and I feel like they're created like some strong opinions in the chat, which is absolutely incredible. One of the things that I wanted to tap into first and foremost, though, that's like a through line in both of your presentations, is the idea of storytelling. So it's like, well, Jake, you had talked about how important storytelling is no matter what. And Savannah, it's like the primary goal of everything that you do at the end of the day. So I think what I'm curious about is if we can talk about the foundations a little bit here. And Savannah, I'm going to throw it to you first. When it comes to storytelling, like how do you think of like the very first starting point for crafting a great story?
Definitely. I mean, it comes down to the emotional drivers of why someone wants to purchase, what personas are you targeting, and then crafting scripts and formats that target those specific personas. So whether it is with AI or real humans, I think we're all just trying to tap into the psychology of why someone will buy. It doesn't really matter the medium, whether it's an AI ad or an image ad or a real person. It's just about what's going to make someone click and buy. And that's what I'm trying to come up with every day, essentially.
Yeah, I would also agree with that. I know I just went full AI maximalist, but I would definitely agree that it just matters what the brand is trying to sell. If you can use AI to like have your brand stand apart in some way, improve your creative, use it. But I also think it just depends on what the product is and having some authenticity to it.
Yeah, I think the common thread there is really that if you can't make a great ad without AI, it's like still going to struggle like with AI at that point. So, Jacob, I guess the follow-up that I have there is to make it tactical is like I've seen Savannah's process quite a bit, and I think our audience has been exposed to some of these steps. So, Jacob, in your world, when you're thinking about like the first step of understanding a brand, where are you typically going to conduct that research?
Let's say I partner with a brand to create an ad. I would first have them give me all of their overview as to like what their brand is, their brand deck. And then I also use AI to brainstorm with me as like how we can expand that, how we can narrow down certain things and niche down. And essentially, if they were to give me a project, I first go through a brainstorming process, an R&D phase essentially of generating a bunch of images as to like a mood board essentially, and be able to present that to them. Whereas sometimes mood boards could take at least hours minimally. With AI, you could automate it and be able to present it to them within 5 minutes or even on the same call that you're doing a kickoff call with them.
Huge. And then Savannah, another follow-up that I have here before we get to some of the audience questions. So everybody get to the Q&A tab, keep upvoting. There's a lot of stuff going on in there right now, so you know what to do. But Savannah, the question I have for you is you spoke a little bit about 11 Labs and like integrating that and how that could look. Talked about like the AI production side of things. What I'm thinking about is the process end. So it's like all the work behind the scenes that's happening. Like even you talked about script writing and how it's not there yet. I'm wondering in your world, is there any place that AI is actually doing a great job to help your team get efficiencies outside of the areas that you might have spoken about?
For sure. I think for brand research, it's a great start to learn customer personas, scan the website for reviews, have AI look for testimonials and what Reddit's saying. So I think it's great to capture what all of your customers are saying online in one simple place. And for AI to give the first stab at, hey, what are the value props of this brand? And it may come up with things that you didn't originally think of, and it sparks new ideas. So whenever I'm trying to think about what are potential shot lists or what are potential script lines, I still think written by a human, you're going to get the best result. But it doesn't stop me from going to ChatGPT or any of these AI models and saying, hey, here's my start. Is there any shots that you think I'm missing on this? Or is there any other lines that I should be incorporating? I think it can really help in the brainstorming process for sure.
I love that. You're not ignoring it entirely. It's trying to find out just what it's great at right now to help you. And then you're just like, where can I add my sauce? Make sure it's still exactly Savannah at the end of the day.
Sure.
Now, Jacob, I'm going to throw this one to you first. Savannah, if you also have thoughts, I'm curious to know here. But there's a question from Nikki, and I've honestly seen like a bunch pop up related to this. So let me know if it's something that we feel like we can answer here. But there's a lot of questions around like legal implications and things along those lines. So Nikki in particular asks, can you speak to the legal implications of using AI for content? So Jacob, I'm going to toss it to you first.
I would say like I'm not a legal expert, but from working with brands in general, they are straying away from certain models. And for instance, like Midjourney is going through a lawsuit right now with Disney and a few other major studios. And ever since that started happening in like June, all of the brands that I work with have said like stop using Midjourney, like we can't use that anymore. So I think it's a bit reactive lately. I think people like there's no clear guidance. So everyone's using their best judgment. Some are like fully avoiding it just to make sure that they're not overstepping anything. But there definitely is still some like caution as far as making sure you don't use any copyrighted work. And especially if you can, so like part of the copywriting process for AI work is that you have to document all all human input throughout the process. So for instance, this might be a storyboard that your team actually creates to influence the AI. It might be them manually designing an animated character and then using AI to bring it to life, and still having that human input that you can document in order to have the copyright behind these AI and the AI content.
Oh, Evan, do we lose your audio?
Yeah, Evan, I can't hear you either.
Evan's talking to himself.
Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, he's
don't-
back. He's back.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. I was going to say, Savannah, in your world, I'm wondering, related to any of the implication side of things, does that ever pop up on your end too, with the ways you are using AI?
In terms of legal ramifications?
Yeah, anything like that?
You know, I am very much on the side of I want to protect myself legally and the brands legally. And I think AI is a huge red flag, especially if you're going to be dubbing a UGC creator or even a celebrity's voice, Joe Rogan podcast. We've seen it all already. And I think it's just going to be a huge legal battle for these brands if they do want to go that approach. So even when I'm creating ads with a actress or a UGC creator, we have a disclaimer at the bottom of every ad that says, those appearing in the video were paid for their time, testimonial, and image. And that is required by the FTC per America law, that anyone who's seeing an ad needs to know when it's a paid customer testimonial. So really the next layer on this is, when do we need to disclose that this was an AI generated person and it's not even a real person that was paid to give a testimonial? I think that's the next complex issue that lawyers and government bodies are going to have to grapple with.
So now for both of you, Savannah, I'm going to follow up with you first here. It's like, we've talked a lot about how organizations can view this, or like how the production side is one thing, but now I want to talk to like managing up in this conversation or working with clients. So Amanda has a question here, or a scenario. As a designer and creative lead, how would you curb your shiny object CEO boss on the next AI thing that involves creative work? So it really is a question of like how to manage your boss when they are like pushing you to try other things. So Savannah, wondering if you have opinions here first.
Definitely. I mean, my methodology is I like to notice what's happening with AI, but I'm not focusing on it. Really, there's only so many hours of the day. So how I would justify it to my boss is I am focused on creating the best ads with the resources we have available. To be able to understand all of these new tools is just overwhelming and not practical at this time. So I think at this point, being aware of what's possible, and that's why I love Jake's presentation about this is what can be done and these are the limitations. But at the end of the day, your boss cares about revenue and the money coming in his pocket. So if you can use the data that you're getting from Motion to justify, hey, using real creators, real UGC, this is what's working the best. Let's double down on what's working. Really leading with the data is what's going to keep the shiny object syndrome at bay.
And then Jake, wondering on your end if you have a response to this one here too.
I mean, ever since the beginning of this year, I've been the guy with shiny object syndrome because there's a new tool every day practically. But yeah, I would say like at some point you need to just sit back and like just see what the top tools end up being from other brands and just see what's being used and then react, because there is so much like input and just like news that you have to digest that it's better to be reactionary, especially if you are like, once again, like Savannah said, your job is to bring more revenue and focus on that, not just all of these different tools that released weekly.
I also think there's so much nuance in this. Like basically it's one version of your boss telling you to do something. It's another other version of like, what do you want in this equation as well? Like if your plan is like, how do I lock in for the next week and get these creatives and like produce the best results? Like that's probably the right step. But if you're also thinking about like next step in my career, what does that start to look like? I might want to start tackling these tools so I get more efficiency. It might align with you personally, not even just your boss, if that's something you want to try. So that's where I add like the nuance comes to mind for me.
The one thing I would suggest for companies is even maybe it's like quarterly, have one day where your creative team does like a half day or the full day of just like creating an AI video so that they can experiment with the current tools just to see what's possible. Or it could be a video or whatever type of content, just so that they can experiment every few months to see what's possible.
I love it. And then Jacob, the follow-up I have for you here is like, there's so many people who are like trying to ask questions in the chat. They're just also not really sure where to start. They're kind of like, hey, share your screen. And they're like, oh, how do I put an elephant in there? Like things along those lines.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering for anyone who's just starting out that might have drawn some inspiration by the stuff that you went through, like what's step 1, 2, 3, or even just one of getting started in this process?
I would say from my experience, step 1 was just getting a subscription to an AI image and video tool and just being like, all right, I'm going to create a video that has no dialogue and just like a B-roll with a voiceover potentially, and just create a video so that you understand the process of creating the image first, then animating that image and being able to like actually see in real time how AI creates these images, and that it's not just a one button click like I may have shown you, but I may have, if I actually zoomed into those images, I'm sure that there was a lot wrong with them.
Easy starting place, everyone. It's just like in everything in life. Get started, get your hands dirty, and then see how it goes so you can make your own decisions. So I love that, Jake. I love that, Jake. Savannah, a question that came up during your presentation, I'm going to pull up on the screen here, it comes from Chris. The question is, do you come up with these creative ad ideas and get a video editor to do it, or do you edit them yourself? I have a follow-up.
I wish there was enough time in the day to edit it myself. Back in the day, I used to star in all of my ads. I was a UGC creator. I edited everything in CapCut. Luckily now I have a team of 40 creators and 10 editors who do it all for me. I'm just there as the director, the creative strategist, coming up with inspiration, tweaking it, and then being the one to deliver it to the client.
So Savannah is somebody who has literally created so many creative strategists, which I think is absolutely incredible. So the follow-up question I have here, Savannah, is like, with the ideas, how the heck do you come up with so many ideas that then end up living in these presentations that you go through with us?
You know, that's what I get paid the big bucks for. A lot of these brands come to me and they say, hey, we've done UGC, we've done it all. Come up with something new that we haven't done. So that's the big task. I'm always trying to think, how can we be more out of the box? A lot of it comes from being inspired from other brands. I look up what other companies are doing in their ad creatives, taking elements from it, taking elements from TikTok, organic posts. I'm always just trying to think, how can I make it a little more interesting, a little bit more out of the box? And a lot of that comes down to the editing. A lot of the examples I showed just comes down to creative ways of showing the text, having items fly in. Having a great team of editors has really elevated our creatives to the next level.
And last question that I have for both of you that I'm picking up from the, like basically an amalgamation of the different questions here, is related to the actual like inspiration you're drawing. So Savannah, you talked about looking at other brands, but what I'm curious about is like, when you're drawing inspiration, are you mainly looking at ads? Are you looking at organic posts? Like, what is it primarily that you'll draw inspiration from?
I think organic posts is really where you can get the most interesting ideas, because TikTok creators are just like the masters of using different transitions, stopping attention. And that's their whole job. These TikTok creators is stopping the scroll. So we can learn a lot about human psychology of what's making people stop the scroll and why are these videos going viral. So I would say studying organic is the best place to start. But then of course, look at what other brands are doing. That's why I love Motion, because I have all of my clients connected to Motion. So I see what works for every single brand and I can draw trends like, oh, testimonials are working well, or on the street interviews or unboxings. And then I can say, hey, if it's working for 20 brands, it's probably going to work for the 21st. So just keeping an eye on what's working across the board has been really helpful for me.
Your own data is so powerful. That makes so much sense. And Jake, as you're crafting a new world here and what it can look like? Where are you going to draw inspiration from?
I would honestly say the same thing. Like social media, just organic creators, whether it is UGC content or the AI content that I watch online, like it still influences any ads that I create.
I love it. Guys,
That
this
too,
has been
and
so-
I would say there's also some brands recently that have been getting into sort of like micro drama type content, like short form branded content specifically for vertical videos, and using AI to accomplish it in some form. So that's also been interesting to dive into some micro dramas and hooks for short form content that way.
That's super cool. You're basically double clicking. You're like, let me start with organic and the creators that I like and naturally resonate with. And it's like, okay, the added layer of who's using AI in a way that I like. So it's like finding that niche that works really well for you to draw inspo from.
Definitely.
Guys, I freaking love this. The chat's been going crazy the entire time. Both you got to scroll through it to see exactly what's going on. So, but what I will say as a final statement here, it's Savannah, on your end, do you have any final words you want to leave with our audience?
My final word is that brands are using multiple approaches to make ads. They're using approaches like mine, like coming up with organic content, working with UGC agencies like myself to do so. They're hiring in-house creators. They're creating their own content in-house. They're playing with AI. They're seeing what's possible. It's not about choosing a camp and being tied to it. I mean, that's what I do. I create organic looking UGC and out of the box ideas. That's my thing. But when brands are thinking about how can we succeed on paid social, they're dipping into all different possibilities and then just letting the algorithm work itself out. Whatever scales, and they're going to double down on that. But you don't have to choose a camp. You can really dabble in everything. And I think that's where you're going to be successful.
Both of them. Jake, any final words you want to leave with our audience?
It would just be summed up with like, just get started in the little things. It could be something as simple as changing the background of an image that you already have, being able to improve upon creative that you already have by using AI. Like it could even be taking one of your existing best performing content and seeing if you can even improve upon that. So yeah, I would say just like start with the little things. You don't need to go full AI maximalist.
Huge. Both of you didn't even plug yourselves. Jesus. I'm trying to set you up to be able to say it. Everybody go tap in with Savannah. Go check out the newsletter. Killing it every time. See the content that Savannah's pushing out. And you saw a little bit about what Jake got going on. Tap in with Jake. You do not want to miss out, guys. But we can't forget the plugs, okay? We can't forget the plugs. You both are crushing it.
Oh, yeah. Website is jacobrusso.com.
jacobrusso.com, thesocialsavannah.com. Hit them both up. Guys, I sincerely appreciate the time. Everybody throw some love in the chat. We need the emojis. We need the love going. Let's turn it up. Let's turn it up. Thank you both so much. So much.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
Awesome.